Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brain Bean here again, and today we're going to be taking a look at a pre-built gaming PC from Dell. So let's go ahead and just check this thing out. So I want to start the review off by first just talking about why you might want to go with the pre-built PC over building your own, and then kind of take things from there. Now, obviously on this channel, I lean more towards the enthusiast side of things, building your own PC, picking out all the parts and kind of customizing it and making it your own. But there's definitely a market for pre-built PCs like this, and there are some advantages to going this route as well. Some of those advantages include, one, just the hassle factor. It's so much easier to just order a PC, have it arrive, turn it on, everything works, and you're good to go. When you're building your own PC, you've got to check for compatibility issues. Then you have the time to actually put the thing together. And even if you're pretty experienced, that can still take about an hour or two. If you haven't done it before, it could certainly be an all-day affair. And even then, when you go to turn it on, even the most experienced PC builder will tell you the first time they go to power up a system, you're always a little bit nervous, because if something goes wrong or it doesn't post, then you have the long process of taking parts out and testing different things and trying to figure out what the heck it is that's making it not post. So with a pre-built system, that's something you're just not going to have to worry about. Another big advantage is that you can have the entire box warranted and not have to part it out like you would with a custom system and sending it out to different manufacturers. So having a warranty on the entire box and being able to just send the computer off and get it replaced or whatever you need to do, there's also obviously some good things to that as well. So talking about the specs and what's under the hood. Now, the Dell Inspiron gaming series comes in a plethora of different configurations, but the one that I have here with me today is one of the AMD variants. It comes with an AMD Ryzen 7 2700X processor. That's an 8-core, 16-thread, 3.7 gigahertz processor. Very, very beefy, very powerful processor. 16 gigs DDR4 RAM, a 256 gig M.2 drive, so you get that fast boot and you have plenty of room to throw a couple of games on there. You also have a 1 terabyte spinning drive so that you can dump everything else on there, from games to video files, whatever you want. And an RX580 graphics card, the 4 gig variant. So definitely going to be plenty powerful for playing 1080p games, but we'll get into those benchmarks here in just a little bit. Now, before we dive too deep into all the benchmarks and everything, I just want to talk about the aesthetics of the PC itself. Now, for a pre-built, obviously, most of the time that these pre-built PCs don't really have a real edgy design. They're usually just a pretty plain looking box, nothing really cool there to speak of. And this one kind of splits the difference in the middle. You do have some of those angular designs. It does look a little bit more edgy. You've got the nice blue underglow kind of coming through here on this kind of like fins here on the front as well as in the sides. Now, you can't see it from all angles like you could if you had like an open glass side panel, but considering that everything that comes stock on the computer isn't necessarily things that you want to just show off and doesn't have RGB and all that, then I think the way they did it is actually pretty cool, because it still gives a little bit of ambient look to it, a little bit edgy, but it's not something that's overly flashy or in your face. So before we get into the benchmarks, I just want to show you guys a couple of things inside the computer, because I think kind of a practical approach is more valuable to you guys at home than just going over all the video game specs and benchmarks, because you can look up any combination of hardware online and get benchmarks. So that's not, as valuable as having hands-on experience with the actual case and the components, and kind of show you guys what might be some concerns and what might be some actual pretty cool features for this pre-built computer. So taking the side panel off and actually getting a look inside the PC now, the first thing that jumped out at me was the heatsink on the processor. Now, AMD's Wraithspire coolers are pretty good for stock coolers. They definitely blow Intel's out of the water, but this PC actually has an aftermarket heatsink on it. Now, I don't know if this is a Dell proprietary one or what, but it's got a pretty beefy design to it, and obviously because that 2700X processor is a fairly powerful processor, it's still really cool to see that they added that on there. The next thing that immediately jumped out at me was this cage here for the graphics card. It doesn't screw into it at all, but it does support it to kind of help with that GPU sag that you can get sometimes, and I do really like that this, for a pre-built PC, actually has quite a bit of expandability in the actual rig itself. The motherboard does have an extra PCIe slot for a second GPU, as well as this cage here does support a second graphics card as well. But keep in mind that the power supply is a 380 watt power supply, so you would definitely need to upgrade that if you are going to throw a second GPU in the box. Another thing that I like is that there's a second M.2 slot as well on the motherboard. So if you want to throw another M.2 stick in there to have some more fast memory, or if you want to have a drive dedicated just to your Steam folder or something like that, and you want it to boot up quickly, boom, throw that M.2 drive in there and you've got some expandability. And I really like that because a lot of times, again, with these pre-built systems, the motherboard really doesn't give you a lot of aftermarket options. So it's really cool to see that they added all of that in there. Now, as for the RAM, you do just have 2 DIMM slots there. So if you want to upgrade from the 16 gigs that you have in here currently, you would need to buy 2 16 gig sticks instead of the 2 8 gig sticks in there. Unfortunately, it doesn't have 4 DIMM slots, so you can't just throw a couple of extra sticks in there. So upgrading your RAM is going to be a little bit more of an investment than it normally would if you had pre-built the system yourself. So now that I've shown you guys the internals of the computer and kind of talked about all that, let's go ahead and jump into some classic benchmarks and see how this thing performs on some popular games. Overall, for $1,200, this PC gives you all you need to game and create content alike, as that 2700X processor has plenty of cores to handle demanding video editing in Premiere, and the RX580 is plenty to smash 1080p gaming. Now, I parted out this exact same config on Amazon and it came out to be $1,350 including Windows, so Dell is definitely passing on some savings to the customer. Plus, the warranty and support makes it an all-around great deal. Well, that's it for the video, guys. Let me know in those comments down below what you think about the Dell Inspiron gaming PCs. And of course, give this video a like if you enjoyed it to show your support. If you're new here on the channel, I'd love to see you subscribe, as I've got a lot more videos like this coming for you in the near future. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.